What's going on, y'all? I'm Cam Best, and I am here to talk to you about what I consider to be the best Iron Lad deck in Marvel Snap. What I mean by that is this is the deck in which Iron Lad shines the most for me. It's a very powerful list on its own. My podcast partner on the Snapshot podcast, Brendan APG, won a tournament undefeated with this list recently, and we're going to have him on a bit later so you can learn the intricacies of how to play it. I, merely the person who just put it together at the beginning. Once Iron Lad was released, if you go back and look at the Iron Lad video, you'll be able to find this list in there. I feel like it deserves a bit of more of a breakdown, so we are going to do that. I think that before I get into any of that, though, let's start with, this is a very similar list to the Comanthus Patriot list that I played a little bit ago, and that we eventually ended up discarding because of the amount of Super Skrull and Enchantress in the metagame. Now, once Iron Lad came out, he really juiced this up. This list is really good at putting a ton of numbers on the board. Iron Lad has a ton of insanely powerful hits, and eventually you just realize that, oh, I'm just doing the strongest possible thing, and if my opponent is not playing Enchantress and Super Skrull, I'm winning most of these games. That's the general thing. Couple specific interactions to note. Iron Lad on Mr. Sinister or Brood will copy them at Iron Lad's power. So you will get 6 power Broodlings or a 6 power Sinister clone. You do have to consider, if Mystique is in your deck, that when you play Iron Lad, you might want to try to play it knowing that you could copy a Mystique and, for example, hit a Patriot that you might have played on the turn before. You have to be thinking about things like that. Obviously, the high rolls with Doom and Onslaught are incredible, extremely powerful. My instinct is there are a couple flex slots in here. I have been a little bit disappointed in Misty Knight. I have been a little bit disappointed in Mystique. And I think Iron Man I'm not disappointed in, but once people start playing more Enchantress, you might want to swap him out for something like Leech that can sort of proactively answer those cards if they're holding them for the later turns of the game. I think generally the list plays pretty straightforward, although it is a bit disjointed when you play it. You do run into these sort of awkward games where it's like, well, I'm not playing a turn 1 or a turn 2, but because the things I'm doing on the last 4 turns are so ridiculous, I'm going to win anyway. And there's also just a lot of ability that you have to put your opponent in awkward situations where they don't know if they should be playing around Dr. Doom or Onslaught, and that's a really powerful pin to have. I do miss Ultron a little bit, and I do think it's important to let you know that decks with Super Skrull in them are going to be pretty good against you. Enchantress is a little more beatable. When a normal Patriot deck gets Enchantress, they run the risk of, like, their whole deck falling apart, right? When this Patriot deck gets Enchantress, it's like, all right, I got some other buffs. I do other broken things, as opposed to just doing Patriot, Mystique, Ultron, right? You do other things, you're a little bit more resilient to it. You have a little bit more ability to just put points on the board regardless of your Patriot stuff. I do think this is the best Iron Lad deck. I think it is very clearly, to me, the most powerful thing you can be doing with Iron Lads. If you bought Iron Lad and you're like, damn, what do I do with Iron Lad? This is what you do with Iron Lad. Now, I'm going to bring in my podcast partner, Brendan APG, who just went 7-0 in a tournament with this list, and we're going to talk about it. So for about 10 minutes, you're going to be able to hear our little bit of a rundown on the specific intricacies of this list from the man who piloted it to a tournament finish. What's going on, y'all? I am Cam Best, and I am joined by Brendan APG, my podcast partner on the Snapshot podcast, who took this list to 7-0. We're going to be going through the deck list together. I want to get his specific insight on the deck list because he played it in a tournament format, and I've only played it on ladder, so I'm interested to know what he can tell you about how to play this list optimally. And Brendan, how you doing?
Good. So like I said before, I think that you hit on a lot of the key points of the deck. I want to talk about why I decided to play this deck in the first place. So basically, I was playing a bit of battle mode the night before and playing one of my favorite decks, not Galactus. It was actually Deathwave, probably the most mid deck in Marvel Snap. And then, I was like, I'll try this old Patriot list that existed somewhere in my camera roll that I had screenshotted from somebody's Twitter. Couldn't remember who. And started playing it.
Who could have possibly posted that Patriot list? I can't figure out who it would have been.
No clue. But I started playing it and I was just like, wow, this is really frustrating to play against, especially in battle mode. I think that this deck is particularly better in battle mode than it is in ladder, because I feel like the Patriot list, you open yourself up to getting blown out by some tech cards, but after you have the information that your opponent has those tech cards, with this list specifically, you can really spread out your threats and sort of manipulate the way you play to avoid it, because you do have choices in terms of your top end. So you have things like Dr. Doom instead of over committing to something like an Onslaught. But yeah, played a bit of battle mode with this the night before and swapped, from one side to the other, and just both people piloting the deck. It was so frustrating to play against, because something else the Patriot deck can do is it can just snap so early. Specifically in battle mode, because you want to have the information what your opponent is playing. But Patriot gets 1-2 favorable locations, has something like a Patriot or Mystique in hand, or just even like a top end Dr. Doom. You've got your Iron Lad, you got a nice curve, you can snap early, and your opponent, like, they just really have to sit it because they can't leave just off a turn one snap unless their hand is terrible. So I think it has a lot of early snap equity. One thing I want to mention is like Iron Lad, definitely the Chad of the deck, but I got to give a shout out to Iron Man, because Iron Man actually allows you to go over the top of a lot of the decks that you're going to run into, especially on ladder. All those Darkhawk decks, like all those big decks that try to put a bunch of power into one lane, Iron Man totally blows that out. And it's hard for your opponent to play around it, especially if you're dropping on turn 6. I agree with you that Misty Knight does feel a bit meh, specifically because one of your worst matchups is Thanos, I think, and Killmonger can be rough, but
turn 6 Thanos specifically is like, oh man, that's the only thing that matters. Every time I see a stone, I'm like, oh, I really hope he's not playing Killmonger in here.
I'll tell you, Cam, it gets worse than that too. When I played 7 rounds in this tournament and I went 7-0, but I played 3 Thanos Death Killmonger decks, and some had Leech.
Not good.
And one had Super Scroll. Super Scroll is the absolute kryptonite in this deck. Your opponent plays Super Scroll, they turn off your entire, like, what feels to be your entire deck. Can't play Iron Man, can't only play Blue Marvel, Onslaught, dangerous, and it's just like, it's really frustrating to play against. So let's talk about some general heuristics with the deck. You are playing on ladder or you're playing on battle mode, things to keep in mind. If you don't have information on what your opponent's playing, you don't know if they have the Enchantress or not, definitely split your Patriot and Mystique. That's the classic blowout against Patriot.
I mean, you do that anyway, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah, like that's the default. If you think that it is even remotely possible they could be playing Enchantress, which means every single time until you know for a fact they're not, you split that shit.
Exactly. Also, I do think that the current state of the ladder and even a lot of tournaments is going to be wave on turn 5. That's just a very popular thing to be doing in Marvel Snap right now. And because of that, you should always be playing your Wasp on something like turn 5. Usually you'll save Wasp for turn 6. There's really no reason to play it before because you want to surprise your opponent with. But with wave in the meta, don't want to get caught on turn 6 with a Wasp in hand costing 4. It's just kind of devastating.
Do want to point out, though, there is this sort of contrast here because, like, I keep Wave to protect my hand from Black Bolt some of the times. Or I keep Wasp in hand to protect my hand from Black Bolt sometimes. So
yes, that's a very good point.
The other turn 5 blowout with Wasp, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. So a popular turn 6 for, I think normal Patriot decks, maybe not this deck, is to go something like turn 6, Patriot Mystique, surprise my opponent. They're like, oh my God, there's so many points on the board. I think that's less prominent nowadays, specifically because of Wave. But if you are planning to do a play like that, like, yes, the Wasp specifically will help you dodge that Black Bolt discard, which could potentially hit your Mystique or your Patriot in hand. So very good point. But again, you want to know what your opponent's archetype is. And I think with Black Bolt, you can kind of see it pretty early. One thing I want to mention is we talked about the top end. Onslaught, kind of the greedy top end, but if you're in battle mode, your opponent does have the Enchantress. It's a great card. Outside of that, Dr. Doom is just not something people really expect, and those Doom bots get buffed by your Patriot.
Yeah, so they're 9s.
9 or 10.
They're insane.
Okay, so yeah, you have the Patriot, you have Patriot 3, Mystique 4, Blue Marvel 5, Dr. Doom 6, your bots are 10s. So they're a lot to deal with. The reason why, even if your opponent knows you're on Dr. Doom, it's hard for them to play around it because you have the double threat of Dr. Doom and Iron Man. You're either committing to a great single lane pressure, or you have amazing split lane pressure as well. It's kind of a catch-22 for the opponent. Last thing I want to say about in general is, we already kind of mentioned it, Super Scroll. That's a good card against you. So that comes into the meta.
It's so brutal. Like, I actually have a Dino deck that Get Wrecked played against me because it was the only deck that did well into this when I was playing this. Every other matchup has just felt like absolutely free, but like the Dino, Zabu, Iron Lad, Super Skrull, not free. Distinctly not free.
Yeah, honestly, that really feels like one of the only weaknesses to this deck is something like Super Scroll. Maybe the Enchantress on ladder, you'll get blown out by it because you didn't play around it. But outside of that, you're just out point slamming most decks. You're beating decks that wave you on 5 because you have such good top end. Like, it is just I think the best positioned deck in the meta right now. That might quickly change, don't get me wrong. But the only thing you really need to look for is like, is this deck still good or not? If people are running Super Scroll, maybe swap to something else. But yeah, so I really think this deck is a lot better in battle mode and a lot better in tournament settings is on ladder. That being said, it's still a very, very strong ladder deck. Your opponent will not know you have this diverse top end. They'll likely not play around the Doom, etc. One thing on ladder, we mentioned playing around wave, splitting for Enchantress. Those are the main things to keep in mind if you're on sort of a closed deck list or pseudo closed deck list, which is what ladder is. So you always want to be doing that split. You always want to be dodging the wave. The last thing I have here to mention is what I call Iron Chad hits, which is
God. Yeah.
Iron Lad hitting Brood, so good. Iron Lad hitting Iron Man, oh my god. Doom, and then there's only really one big whiff in the deck, and that's Mystique usually. Other than that,
I wanted to talk about Mystique actually. Like, I'm so close to cutting her, which feels insane with this many good ongoings. But like, I'm really close to doing it regardless.
Yeah, I think you would have to ask yourself the question is like, do I need the reach that Mystique gives me? Because despite Wave being so popular in the meta, doing something like Patriot Mystique on the last turn of the game, very powerful. Also, it just depends on like, I think general, whatever the point slam flavor of the week is for ladder. Like if you need Mystique to have more points on the board than whatever that other deck is, then Mystique's a good play. Other than that, Mystique does feel a bit of a non-bo, right? Because like we talked about, if Wave's in the meta, you're not going to be doing the efficient Mystique, which is turn 6 Patriot Mystique. So you're likely playing her on like 4, and then you have usually this redundant resource. So it is a cuttable card. My cuttable cards in this deck are probably Misty Knight and maybe Mystique. Misty Knight, particularly because Killmonger already kind of wrecks you with the debris and stuff, so no need to overcommit, I think, if a lot of Thanos comes out to respond.
Yeah, I mean, I think my number one inclusion, I think the first thing on my mind, as with every Patriot deck, is like, let's just play Leech. Let's just play Leech, and then they can't Enchantress me, but like Cosmo works. But like, that doesn't answer the Super Skrull. And that's sort of the issue, right? Is that like, if Super Skrull specifically gets popular, there's kind of not a lot you can do about it because they just get to play that, and then your whole game plan is locked off. It's not an unbeatable card, but it's probably the card that swings any given matchup the most.
Yeah, I think Super Skrull is generally good against Patriot, but it is disgustingly good against this deck because you're committing to the Iron Man. You have the Blue Marvel, and God forbid you drop an Onslaught, not knowing there's going to be a Super Skrull in turn 6. It's totally game losing. But yeah, right now, I think that in Marvel Snap, a lot of the quote-unquote best decks are just the right decks for that meta. And right now, at the time we're recording
this is. Yes.
This is what that is, yeah.
I do think, like, when I think about decks that I'd be afraid to face, like Dino with Super Skrull, definitely afraid to face. Patriot, Ultron Patriot with Super Skrull would also be afraid to face that, right? Like, basically anything that can reasonably keep in range and then Super Skrull sort of flips the matchup on its head, that's sort of the kind of deck that you need to be afraid of when you play this.
Well, I think I could say right now the layer 2 of this deck, right? So this video comes out, people start picking up the deck, it becomes popular. The first thing you do, I think, is sub out Mystique for Super Skrull, right?
Yeah,
it curves better.
Play your
it just destroys. Yeah, it destroys the mirror. So I think if you're looking at this deck right now, you probably maybe even want to make that switch proactively if you even suspect that you'll be facing mirrors.
I will tell you, when I first made this deck, the first day of Iron Lad, I played a mirror within 5 games. Not this is before I posted it on Twitter. This is before any of that. I played a mirror within 5 games. Like, this is not the kind of thing that's going to stay hidden for long.
Well, like I said, this deck existed in my camera roll. Like, I just screenshotted it off Twitter.
Right.
And I left it
there.
Do you
by chance know who may have posted that tweet?
I believe they might be known as a Marvel Snap phenom. The name escapes me, but
the name escapes you.
But seriously,
interesting.
I played 2 matches maybe the night before, and I was just like, I tried running decks into it. We swapped sides. I was just like, this is so frustrating. There's so much to play around. It's so hard to play around both Iron Man and Doctor Doom, and just the general point slam of Patriot.
It's such a pain in the ass. Yes. It's so brutal.
I think Patriot has some of the best snap equity in the game as well in battle mode. I think that you can perceive a sort of the rest of your game quite early, depending on your early draws, where other decks have a bit more variance, things like Thanos, things that could counter you.
You make your plan on turn 3 most games. You're like, oh, I know what I'm doing the rest of the game. Brendan, enjoy your status as the Marvel Snap Phenom. You have taken the crown from me. Thank you so much for coming onto my YouTube channel. And if you want to hear more from Brendan, where can they find you?
Just at Brendan APG on Twitter. And then, of course, check out the Snapshot podcast. Me and KM Best talk about decks like this every single week. So if you're looking to get ahead of the meta, that's where to find out.
That really, really is. I don't know if we're good on Superflow. I think we probably are. But I'm definitely not going to feel pressured to play cards early here. For some reason, I'm getting an Enchantress vibe. I can't really explain to you why I'm getting an Enchantress vibe, but I am getting an Enchantress vibe. Woo! I better be fucking getting an Enchantress vibe, or this shit is over with. Crimson Cosmos does suck, but we're actually like really good on lockdown locations because we play Doctor Doom, we play Debris and buffs, and we're generally a good deck into that shit. Actually, we have Wasp for Morag, we have 4 and 5s for Cosmos. Yeah. With it! Super with it! Now there is no shot at Enchantress here, right? We play Iron Man Doom middle. I don't know. We could maybe still lose. I haven't figured out how. We could just get outpointed, right? Yep. Very cool. We get Darkhawks, right? Oh, shit. I know who he is. We get Darkhawked on Citadel. But if we get Darkhawked and then we go for the Onslaught, is that just, like, really fucking hard to beat? I don't think they beat the left anyway. Nebula, Spider-Man. Alright. So, if we go for Onslaught here... I've just gotta imagine that they just definitely have the rock guy. I just feel like they have to have the rock guy. Because it's not like the fuck... It's like we could lose the middle if they do the rock guy, I think. Okay, never mind. They're out of here. They don't have the rock guy. It's fine. It's fine. They didn't have the rock. The human spider. Hello, Z Kobe. French for I am here. Oh. We're kind of bad on that, right? I mean, if we draw any of our buffers... Let's go whaling. Yep, that's what's happening. All right. Does he run Killmonger? Very important question. I just realized I got the infinite card back before the regular one. That happens to me every season. That's just how it goes. All right, Debris nuts. Let's fucking get it popping. Let's get it popping here. All right, do we Iron Lad the cloning vat? I kind of think we Iron Lad this. Wasp, Mystique, Patriot, Blue Marvel, Onslaught. It's like a 60%er here. That's a good hit. Cool Devil Dino. I might lose this anyway if they play another Dino into the vats. Yeah, it's always a copy of what it cloned. Lockjaw. Space Stone. Reality Stone. I love that for me. So we tie the vats. If they play any cards, we should win. What we lose to, I think, is like move Dino, play Dino. I'm interested in finding out regardless. I think they move the rock and try to win the middle. But if they do that, we're going to win the vats, right? Yeah, got him. That is easiest. It's like what we actually lose to there is move Dino here, play second Dino there, and that's a tiebreaker, and they might have a chance at... No, we don't even lose to that. We don't even lose that tiebreaker, do we? Because, like, that would be 17 instead of the 0, right? So I guess it would be 23? It would be 20? Yeah, they'd win. They'd win. They'd win if they made the other play, because they'd win the tiebreaker by 2. We'd be 20-17 here, and it would be 2-0 here, and we'd be tied over here because they would have gotten another card by playing the second Dino here and moving this Dino over here. So that is actually like, yeah, we won that game, but they did have a line that could have beaten what we did. Ooh. What was Nalguidan playing last time? Darkhawk? Shouldn't be any location control in there, but the real question is, you know, are their Darkhawks just going to get too big? Pass here. Zabu on the London is a little weird, considering that they can just rely on the London to fill the board up. Yeah, sure, why not? I'm glad you enjoyed it. I don't know if you're supposed to pull the trigger on Iron Lad. It's hard for me to recommend anyone that isn't me buy basically any Series 5 cards. It's kind of the issue. It's hard. Cosmo. That's cool, man. I wasn't going to do any of that shit anyway. We're good. Uh-huh. So, no double rocks. I get a sicko Blue Marvel off here. I'm almost thinking I try for the Doom. I know that's ridiculous. But if I can fill up that mid lane and make sure the Doom goes to Triskelion somehow, maybe I was supposed to Sinister the middle in light of that. Fuck, that's interesting. So there is the Darkhawk. Nightcrawler, very cool. Dino Chad is a good deck into this specifically, I think. We just have a bunch of big-ass numbers. And they don't really have a bunch of fucking rock things they can do, I think. Definitely losable, given what we've drawn. But, I mean, if we draw something like Onslaught and get lucky here, it's pretty ridiculous. Doom, right? Possible, but I mean, we'd want to Doom the London, right? Because even if it doesn't go off, it's still... I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see what happens, right? Dino loses to both tech cards, though. Yeah, but again, I'm talking about a specific list here in a specific context. So if you want to know what the list is, you can check out my video. Because you're just, like, saying things, and I'm not sure you're talking about them in the context that I am. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Right? Wrong. Nope, still wrong. This. Thanos. Oh, shit. We lose, right? Wait. We win? Let's go! I did not... Oh, it's not even a Thanos deck. I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening? He was playing Thanos this whole time? He just got that off Sinister London. Oh, no, he just got that off of the Triskelion, right? I was like, holy shit, man. If they actually just control Danger Room, if they have priority, your shit will always die and their shit will always live. All right, chat. What's the vote? View results. Is he cooking? 15 to 14. No. Kia B. I will see you in 10 minutes. Have fun. Have fun out there. Damn, I could really use a card that has ongoing effects on it. Fuck. That'd be cool. Imagine if I got one of those. Hell yeah. Alright, Aves, do you run Enchantress? Fuck, maybe? I assume they'll at least blow up the Citadel, right? That's fascinating. I assume they'll blow up the Citadel, but... what if it just doesn't matter? Aves means birds in Portuguese. Cool. They don't control it, but they sort of do, right? They know what play to make to produce the optimal outcome, right? And they know then what actually kills your shit in the danger rooms. That's the issue, right? They know what play to make to produce the optimal outcome, and that means they have access to that. They don't know the odds. They know, like, if I play something into danger room, it'll live. And because of the way the RNG seed works, basically think of it like a four-sided dice. They know roll 1 is kill, roll 2 is not kill, roll 3 is not kill, so they won't play on roll 1. But if it's not kill, kill, not kill, you play something into it, they play on the first one to get that first one out of the way, it kills your shit. That's how it works. Anyway, do they run Enchantress in here? I have no idea. Let's find out. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, that was fucking mopey. What the hell? That was just a whole bunch of not cards. So who do I want to roll for and who do I level up in Honkai? I'm not the person to ask. Because, as always, that kind of stuff depends on your financial situation. Got to update the joke to Valorant? Yeah, or like, not Siri, right? Oh, no, Aves is a real person. We play them a fair bit. They're just fucking around, I guess. Bailu is best healer, Getler, rest doesn't matter. Incorrect, actually. I mean, she's the best healer, but, like, it does matter. Cards with abilities can't be played here. You know, normally, as a Patriot gamer, that would be the fucking shit, but as is, my hand is so fucking bad. My hand is so ass. Like, oh, my hand is so ass, bro. Oh my god. Just turbo ass. Can I assume that I win the sandbar? I think I can, which means I just, like, play 2 Iron Men on Monster Island. But the issue with playing 2 Iron Men on Monster Island is this fucker runs Shang-Chi. Does he think I have hands that aren't ass? Like, kind of? I'm not very good at drawing them, though. Brood Shuri's lab sucks so bad, by the way. Really disappointing location. Are they on Doom? No. This seems like a statue deck. That's because it is. We've played this person, like, 14 times today. I don't know why I did this. Trash. Iron Lad. Alright, what's in the box? Fuck it. What's in the box, chat? It could be anything. Fuck! Oh, man. Well, I think we're fucking dead. Alright, here's the thing, though. No Shang. Not real. Shang-Chi, fake news. Fake news. Fake news. It's not real. It's a fake. We made it up. It's not real. Not real. Fake card. Fake news. It is not real and cannot hurt me. Look, it's just one of these 3 cards, okay? 3.14% of sailors are pirates. Ugh. Ugh. Ah, damn, it's real? Fuck, that's illegal. Wait. He fucking switched out Shang-Chi for Enchantress for me, and we got him. That's the read. That's the goddamn read. We beat him so many times that he made the switch, and now it lost him this game. That's my read. I'm calling it. I'm calling this.